The statistician's wife had twins. He was delighted. He rang the minister, who was also delighted. Bring them to the church on Sunday and we'll baptize them, said the minister. No, replied the statistician. Baptize just one. We'll keep the other as a control. And we're learning about control groups and experiments, and we're talking about designs of studies today. So, one of the things we need to know about, one of the first steps in a study, is to know who the study is about. So, determine what population you want to study, and then determine if you can do a census or just need to do a sampling. A lot of times, if you can get everyone and do a census, that's great. But there are times you don't want to do a census, like, say, for a blood test. We don't want all your blood. All right, step two, what do we want to know? So you need to formulate questions that will help you gather the data. Remember that the questions won't always be just like what your result for the study is. So, for example, the percentage of people who have internet access, you would be asking instead, do you have internet access? Not what percentage of you have internet access. Now, questions or interviews that influence the outcomes can lead to bias. So I made this little cartoon here. Before I grade your tests, please complete this survey on my teacher performance. And they all check thumbs up. Why is that? Well, they don't want the teacher to be upset while he's grading their tests. Questions should be objective. You can also do leading questions that can give you response bias. And remember that interviewers should always be courteous, ethical, and protect the anonymity or privacy. That helps minimize bias as well. So, who do we gather data from? So, if a census is too difficult or expensive, you might want to be doing a sampling instead. Most times, you're going to need to sample and you'll have to figure out how. Now, the sample frame is the pool of possible participants. If there are individuals in the population who are not in the sample frame, this can lead to bias. For example, if I was looking at different respiratory systems and I went and sampled some animals that I found while I was walking around, this could be my sample frame here. And then I pull my sample and I go, oh, most of these guys have lungs and things like that. But who am I leaving out? Well, if I'm just walking around on the ground, I'm leaving out the animals that live in the water. And they have gill systems. I'm sure they have lungs as well, but it's a different respiratory system than what we're used to. So this is called undercoverage, when you leave a certain part of the population out and when your sample frame is not representative of the population. So how do we sample or assign? Be sure to use randomization in your study. If you let people volunteer, you're going to get the most extreme views. Odds are they will not be representative. And that's called voluntary response bias. I have this image here, and say I went to the cafeteria and I said, hey, I'm doing a survey on baseball. And who's most likely to come up and do my survey on baseball? Probably baseball players or baseball fans. So you can see here's the rest of the people in the cafeteria, and most people going up to do the survey are baseball players. And guess what? They love baseball. You might not get the same response as if you pick the volunteers instead of letting them pick you. Also consider timing for surveys to avoid bias due to non-response. So non-response would be when they say, I don't feel like you ask them to do the survey, right? But they say, nope, don't have time. Or they're not even there. So it would not be a good idea. I know most high schools have a senior skip day unofficially. So it's usually the day before spring break and all the seniors are like, oh, we're going to skip. So if you were doing a survey on the prom, that would be a very bad day to do the survey because a lot of your seniors would not be there. Now, also avoid methods that can be easily ignored. So if you're doing surveys through the mail, those tend to have a very high non-response rate.